Good morning and welcome back. Hopefully y'all are doing well. I'm doing okay. I know I said I wasn't gonna go to Starbucks anymore. I think I said that on here, I'm not sure. But um I did go to Starbucks today and I got myself a they have a new drink. That's why I went there and it's actually really good. It's a um like a lavender, it just says Grande Lav O Matcha. It's a lavender, I think, what is that layer called? Cold foam, I think. But I think it's like a lavender cream oat milk matcha latte. There's just so many words. It always have so many words at Starbucks. Um, but it's really good. It's really good. Um, I like the lavender taste in it. I like I like it with like floral stuff, I guess, because I like rose and I like lavender in my coffee or like matcha. It's really good. Anyways, but yeah, we're in Mark chapter 12 if I haven't already said that. So, we're going to dive right in. This weather is absolutely beautiful. I am so thankful and I just feel ready to take on the day. This is why I love this weather, because I feel actually like encouraged to leave my house. It's so nice. It's not a torture. It's not torturous to go to the grocery store anymore. Although, listen, I hate saying these things because it's like we're so privileged and so fortunate to be able to do that. So I am very grateful. But all I'm saying is that I was gonna say, were they driving on the wrong side of the road or am I tripping? Oh, okay. It just looks like they're driving on the wrong side of the road. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Um, but this place is a lot more quiet. So, um, hopefully there won't be too much going on. You'll hear like some bird noises, but that's about it. I don't even know what I was talking about. We're just gonna get right into it. So, anyways, Mark chapter 12. Um, this is titled Jesus Tells the Parable of the Evil Farmers. And it starts out and says, Jesus then began to speak to them in parables. A man planted a vineyard. He put a wall around it, dug a pit for the winepress, and built a watchtower. Oh, sorry. Okay, so disclaimer. I'm having some allergies going on. I had like a sneeze attack last night, so if you hear me like, I'm still recovering. Okay. So if you hear me like sniffling or you hear it in my voice, then that's why. It was just really bad. I get these really bad allergy attacks where I can't stop sneezing and I'm like so stuffy, and I wake up like feeling a lot better, but it always happens at nighttime and I'm like, I cannot stop sneezing. So yeah, anyways. Okay, so then he rented the vineyard to some farmers and moved to another place. At harvest time, he sent a servant to the tenants to collect from them some of the fruit of the vineyard. But they seized him, beat him, and sent him away empty-handed. Then he sent another servant to them. They struck this man on the head and treated him shamefully. He sent still another, and that one, wow, sorry, and that one they killed. He sent many others. Some of them they beat, others they killed. He said he had one left to send, a son, whom he loved. He sent him last of all, saying, "They will respect my son." But the tenants said to one another, "This is the heir. Come, let's kill him, and the inheritance will be ours." So they took him and killed him and threw him out of the vineyard. Then, what then will the owner of the vineyard do? He will come and kill those tenants and give the vineyard to others. Haven't you read this passage of scripture? The stone The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. And that is, I'm looking for the cross reference, but it's not. Oh, here, Psalm 118:22 and 23, or what it's referencing. Um, then the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders looked for a way to arrest him because they knew he had spoken the parable against them. But they were afraid of the crowd, so they left him and went away. So sorry, I hate that. Okay. Anyways, but we're gonna go into the insight a little bit. So I'm in my life application Bible. I feel like I always need to say that because I don't want people to mistake like what I'm reading in the study part as like the actual Bible part. So it's just like it's a study Bible basically. So I just find it really interesting because, you know, I talked about this last time and it was mentioned last time. It was mentioned last time when in chapter 11 where the teachers of law and the elders, where they were plotting to kill Jesus, but you know, they're making Jesus their enemy when Jesus really isn't their enemy. And here we see that again, where they're making someone that is not their enemy. Jesus did not come to be their enemy. He came to save them, and he came to save all. But yet they've built up in their minds, because of their hearts and because of their jealousy, because of their bitterness, because of their, you know, they're afraid of, I hope that my phone doesn't start to overheat. You know, they're like, Jesus is coming in and they're threatening, like Jesus is threatening their egos, you know, and you know, that puts them in a position, you know, to kind of be afraid that they're going to lose their status, or they're going to lose their respect, or Jesus is making them look stupid because, I mean, Jesus knows all things, you know, so they're trying to trap Jesus, but they can't trap Jesus, you know, so they feel threatened by him, so they want to kill him, but therefore they're making him the enemy when he's really not the enemy. And we talked about this before, but I mean, this happens, you know, even just in today, you know what I mean? Maybe not necessarily in the same way that it happened in here, but, you know, people making things the enemy when it's not the enemy, whether that be God, whether that be, you know, a human being, whether that be someone in your family or your friend, when someone's genuinely just trying to help you, but you have something built up in your mind that convinces you that they're the enemy, and you're fighting the wrong battle, you're fighting the wrong person, you know, you're fighting the wrong thing, the thing that's actually for you, you've built up in your mind that it's an actual enemy to you. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too, where it's like someone that's actually for me, but because I'm not in a place and my mind's not right and my heart's not right to receive, you know, what they're trying to give me, which is useful. Maybe it's advice, you know, maybe you're in a relationship that you shouldn't be in and your friends are like, listen babe, I love you, but this one isn't it, and and you're just like, no. And then you start to be like, you know, you start looking at them as the enemy because you're like, oh my gosh, they're not for this relationship, they're against us, you know, all this stuff. But really they're telling the truth, but really you're making them out to be the enemy. And there's so many different things. I mean, bitterness, you know, bitterness and jealousy and envy makes the, like, people that are innocent, people that are genuinely trying to help you, people that love you, it makes them out to be the enemy when they're really, it's quite the opposite. They're actually for you, you know what I mean? So there's just different things. Again, it's about checking the heart, um, checking your mind, where are you at? So yeah, but we're gonna go on the insight of this. I feel like I can't breathe. um let's see. Let's start. Okay, let's do 1 through 12. I don't know. I hope that this does not overheat, because I just wish that these dang things would do something for me. These little, what are they called? The sun blocker things in the car. They don't really, hold on, did that do anything? No. I don't think so. I think it just covered my body. Okay, it's okay. We're just gonna pray and hope it doesn't do anything. Okay, so anyways, this is the study part on verses 1 through 12. It says the stories Jesus told are called parables. A parable uses something familiar to help us understand something new. This method of teaching compels the listeners to discover truths for themselves, which I like, because the way that Jesus teaches, he's not like, hold on, it's getting hot in here, babe. Hold on. I gotta put some windows down, because, yeah, there we go. The way that Jesus teaches is like, I feel like would be a way that I would like enjoy, because it's just, I mean, it is a way that I enjoy it because I'm reading it and I enjoy it, but to have an actual teacher there, I love that, because it really does get your mind going. It makes you think, because he's not necessarily telling you what he's saying, but he is. You know what I mean? But it's like an illustration, and I like that, and it kind of is easier for me to understand. But I also like that he does full blown explain it too. But anyway, so let's see. This method of teaching compels the listeners to discover truth for themselves. The message gets through only to those who are willing to listen and to learn. In this parable, the man who planted the vineyard is God. The vineyard is the nation of Israel. The tenants are Israel's religious leaders. Excuse me. The servants are the prophets and priests who remained faithful to God. The Son is Jesus. And the others are the Gentiles. The religious leaders not only frustrated their nation's purpose, but also killed those who were oh trying to fulfill it. They were so jealous and possessive that they ignored the welfare of the very people they were supposed to be bringing to God. By telling this story, Jesus exposed the religious leaders' plot to plot to kill him, and warned that their sins would be punished. Again, I'm seeing the word jealous and possessive. Yeah. Again, back to what I was saying with, because the thing is, when you start to let that little, like, jealousy, envy, and that type of stuff to, sorry, I was reading a message, pop into your mind, it starts to really take over and to control you. And in all reality, you really end up hurting yourself even more when you just let that fester, and you let that seed grow into a full-blown garden of just toxicity. And Yeah. And it's easy to become jealous. It's easy to become, bitter, especially when you've experienced a lot in your life and, you look around to others. It's hard. It's hard not to look at other people's lives. It's hard to not, acknowledge other people's achievements and then also, realize where you are at yourself. I love um birds. Anyways, um I'm so excited. Sorry, this is off topic, but I'm so excited for my first butterfly of the season. I haven't seen a butterfly yet. It's been months. So I'm so excited. Anyways, but um yeah, it's really easy to fall into that, slippery slope, but it's so important to I can't find this bird. It's so easy to fall into the slippery slope of jealousy and envy and bitterness and thinking, just this way of thinking, or when you feel threatened by someone, when, maybe you're in a good position, but someone else comes in and, now this person is getting the praise where you used to get the praise, it's so easy to like allow those emotions to rise up and to wreak havoc in your life. But we see that it really only just causes destruction. And it just ends up hurting yourself, and or you just end up hurting yourself. And there was another thing I wanted to say, now I don't remember. You end up hurting yourself, oh, and then you just end up being stuck in the same spot that you were, and probably an even worse position, when you don't take care of that. So yeah, we're gonna read on to 10 and 11. So Jesus referred to himself as the stone rejected by the builders. Although he would be rejected by most of the Jewish leaders, he would become the cornerstone of a new building, the church. Cornerstones are used as the base to make sure the other stones of the building are straight and level. Likewise, Jesus' life and teaching would be the church's foundation, which I absolutely love. I love um, cornerstone and like building, that song, like Build My Life, I think it's called. But it's so important because it's like you really have to look at what type of foundation. Oh, so is that a that's a woodpecker. Oh my gosh, I love when it gets warm outside again. I mean, not that there's birds when it's cold, but I'm just seeing all kinds of stuff. I feel alive again. Okay. Anyways, um but yeah, it's so important to really be aware of, what you're building your life upon, and the foundation um that you're building your life on and your beliefs on, um because you want it to be on a firm foundation, a sturdy foundation, so that way when the waves come crashing in, when the issues of life come your way, which they will, and some have it worse than others. Some people, I don't know, it depends on the individual, I guess. Some people have had pretty smooth sailing lives, and other people have had really rough lives, whether that be due to their own decisions or just life, but when those things happen, you know are you going to crumble, or are you going to be able to stand firm? Now, I'm not saying, when I say stand firm, I don't mean that, you're never going to cry, you're never going to break down, you're never going to have human emotion, Um, what I mean is, like, will you be able to get back up and know and trust in God, that God will take care of you, that God is going to handle the situation, that God has got you, and He's going to comfort you and give you what you need, you know. See, I'm not talking about you can't cry, or you can't show any emotion. That means strength. You know what I mean? Because strong people cry, strong people show emotion. It's okay, you know. Um, but is it going to completely destroy you, you know? Or are you going to be able to get back up and keep trying and keep moving forward? So I love that, you know, building your beliefs and your faith and your life on Jesus, who is the cornerstone, the solid rock, you know. Let's see, did I read the whole thing? Yes, I did read the whole thing. So now we're going to verse 13, which is the religious leaders question Jesus about paying taxes. Which taxes? Anyways, okay. Later, they sent some of the Pharisees and Herodians to Jesus to catch him in his words. They came to him and said, "Teacher, we know that you are a man of integrity. You aren't swayed by others." I love that. I love that. I wonder what the other versions say. You aren't swayed by others. Like I wonder what NLT says, and then the New King James Version. But I love that because it's something that I 100% have to work on. Is I need to work on 100, I need to work on trusting God, but I also need to work on, I know that this isn't um necessarily like what Christians encourage, but I think trusting yourself is really important too, because I think you also have to trust in the ability within yourself to be able to trust in God. Because if you're constantly questioning yourself as well, you start to question God, like, did God really tell me that, or was that something else? You know what I mean? But when you can trust in yourself and you have that relationship with God, it's like, I don't know, that's how I interpret it. But when you can like really trust, I'm not saying to put your faith and your trust in yourself, but trusting in your ability to be able to have that discernment. Of course God gives us that discernment, but when you can't even trust in yourself to like properly know if God is giving you discernment, you know what I mean? It's like you kind of have to have some level of trust in yourself too. I'm not saying to fully like, you know, it's all for me. That's not what I'm saying. I hope that everybody understands what I mean by that. But I love, it's like, you know, you aren't swayed by others. When I think about Jesus, I just think about this sturdy foundation. Like, he, that is something that I always seek. It's something that's so comforting. You know, when you have someone, I don't know if I've ever really like truly experienced this in my life, like in a physical form. In a spiritual form, yes, but what was that? I feel like Wendy Williams. What was that, James? Anyways, so like I don't know if I've ever really experienced this in like a physical form with a physical person, but with Jesus, yes. But there's something, when I think about it, there's something so comforting that when you hear something that is so world shattering, right? And you get this news, or you hear something that is like literally will make you crumble, will make you break down, will make you whatever, I don't know. You get a bad health report, if a family member dies, you know, something that is very traumatic and impactful in your life. When you hear that, but you have someone like that's next to you that's solid. And I'm not saying they're not allowed to show emotion and stuff like that, but they're sturdy, they're solid. It makes, like, when I think about that, it makes me feel so much better, you know, to be able to have that person with me, to know that, like, even though I'm freaking out, they've got it together. You know what I mean? Because that, like, calms me down. that calms me down, you know? Um, because if we're both freaking out and we're both having panic attacks, okay, that's not good. It's like the blind leading the blind, you know, the deaf leading the deaf. Like, that's not what we want, you know. Someone's got to keep it together, you know. And that is so comforting to me to know that there, like, for me, that's God. I mean, I feel like maybe I felt that. I haven't felt that consistently with a person, I don't think. Like, because I just think about my dad. Like, I think about my dad. I'm like, oh, maybe my dad would be that person, but he's not. Because he's like, his first reaction is like, and it's like, okay. And then I end up having to be the one to be like, it's okay. We've got this. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's nice to not be that one and to be able to kind of have a little bit of a freak out and have a little bit of a moment, you know, to let your emotions out and have somebody else that's there, that's solid. You know what I mean? Anyways, so I love that when it says you aren't swayed by others. His emotions aren't swayed, his opinions, the way that he speaks, he does not care. He doesn't care who's watching. He doesn't care what they're going to say. He doesn't care if they're going to criticize him or if they're going to literally kill him, you know, and beat him. He does not. I mean, I'm sure he didn't want that. I mean, and I know he didn't, you know, because of what we see, you know, of him asking the cup to pass him. But of course, who would want to be tortured and, you know, killed in a very gruesome way? But he still went through with it, you know? So I love that. Anyways, because you pay no attention to who they are, and I love that. But you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? Should we pay or should we pay or shouldn't we? There we go. But Jesus knew their hypocrisy. Why are you trying to trap me? He asked. Bring me a denarius, and nope, and let me look at it. They brought the coin, and he asked them, whose image is this, and whose inscription? Caesar's, they replied. Then Jesus said to them, give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God's. And they were amazed at him. I love, yeah. I just love the surety, the confidence. Obviously, he's Jesus. So it's like, it's just obvious, but it inspires me to just like become that, you know, to become so sure in my identity in him to the point where I don't care what other people think, what other people are going to say, because I feel so comfortable and confident with my position in the body of Christ. You know what I mean? There's something that's so like, I don't know, it really feels, the only way I can describe it is like a weight off your chest, but like you can let your shoulders down. Because you know when you're tense, you feel it a lot. Like I feel like a lot in my shoulders and like my upper back. Oh my gosh, I have like so many knots right here that I know I need to go and get them worked out. But you know, when I'm tense, I'm just really like, you know, and like this, and my shoulders are like, I don't know, I can't really describe it, but all I know is when the only feeling that I can describe it as is sometimes when I put on certain Christian songs. There's a song by, oh my gosh, what is it called? House Fires, which I don't know why they're called House Fires. I'd have to look it up, but it's a Christian band group. And they have these songs. They have You Know My Name. They have All Over Again. They have Worthy. Those three. And a lot of the upper room worship sets immediately. Like the first note or the first key on the piano, immediately I feel this weight off of me. Like it's crazy. I don't feel that way with any other songs. Nothing. Nothing. Only it's literally only Christian songs that I just feel like, even if it's like an encouraging like non-Christian song, I'd feel the same. It's not even like I have to listen to the whole song. It's the first note. It's like immediately I feel this weight like melt off of my body. I can physically feel my shoulders like coming down. But when I think about being in this mindset, I feel like it's a constant feeling of like that feeling when I feel and I listen to that music, that first note of like immediately like just the shedding of whatever I just went through, whatever I've ever gone through my whole entire life. I feel that shedding of like, oh my gosh, my shoulders. I'm able to relax my body, you know? But I feel like it would be like that constantly because you're not always worried, oh my gosh, did I upset this person? Or, you know, what are they saying about me? They're going to hate me, you know, whatever. You're not worried about that. You're so sure within yourself and within your position. You're like, dude, it is what it is, you know? It is what it is. And I aspire to be in that position in my life where, yeah, I don't know, it's just I'm just admiring him, that's all. um Excuse me. But again, you know, they're trying to trip him up, they're trying to get him to say something. Obviously Jesus sees right through that. And um yeah, and they're making him out to be the enemy when he's really not the enemy. And um and of course Jesus gives, you know, wise advice, you know, because like they cannot trip him up. Like he's literally Jesus. You know, it's like you can't outsmart Jesus. um Anyways, so we're going to verse 18 to see what time it is. Okay. Then the Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him with a question. Oh, this is titled Religious Leaders Question Jesus About the Resurrection. Then the Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him with a question. Teacher, they said, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies and leaves a wife with no children, the man must marry the widow and be raised up and raise up offspring, for his brother. Now, there were 7 brothers. The first one married and died without leaving any children. The second one, the widow, but the second one married the widow, but he also died, leaving no children. It was the same with the third. In fact, none of the 7 left any children. Last of all, the woman died too. At the resurrection, whose wife will she be, since the 7 were married to her? Jesus replied, Are you not in error because you do not know this drag? Are you not in error because you do not know the scriptures or the power of God? When the dead rise, they will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. Now, about the dead rising, have you not read the book of Moses, in the account of the burning bush, how God said to him, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. You are badly mistaken. I'm going to read the insight. Hold on, let me get a little bit. more comfortable. I'm gonna do that because it's kind of annoying me. Let's see. Where am I? Verses 18. Okay. So we're gonna read the insight for verses 18 through 20. See, it says 23. It says, after the Pharisees and the Herodians failed to trap Jesus with their tax questions, the Sadducees stepped in with a question they were sure would stump him. They had successfully used this question against the Pharisees, who could not come up with the answer. The Sadducees did not believe in life after death because the Pentateuch, Genesis through Deuteronomy, had no direct teaching about it, and the writings of Moses were only scriptures they followed. Were the only scriptures they followed. But Jesus was about to point out that Moses's books support the idea of eternal life. Mark 12:26. According to the Old Testament law, when a woman's husband died without a son, his brother had to marry the widow and produce children to care for her, and they allowed the family line to continue. The first son of this marriage was considered the heir of the dead man. Sorry that I butchered that. What life will be like after resurrection is far beyond our ability to understand or imagine. We need not to be afraid of eternal life because of the unknowns, however. Instead of wondering what God's coming kingdom will be like, we should concentrate on our relationship with Jesus right now, because in the new kingdom, we will be with him. If we learn to love and trust Christ now, we will not be afraid of what he has in store for us then. Yeah, I know. I feel like eternity is a whole other thing that we could probably go off on, which is insane to think about because, I mean, when I look at this life and the majority of people I feel like now don't really live to be 100, because of sicknesses and illnesses that continue to skyrocket as the years go on. But, when I think about being here for 100 years, I feel exhausted. And it's not that I'm not very grateful for this life. I'm very thankful for this life. But I know that this life comes with a lot of troubles and, yeah, a lot of troubles and traumas and not so fun times. And there are some fun times too, and there's a lot of cool things that you could do and accomplish here. But it also comes with a lot of troubles and responsibilities and work and blood, sweat, and tears. So when I think about 100 years, 100 years seems like forever. But when you compare 100 years to eternity, it's like, that's nothing. That's not even a blink of an eye compared to eternity. That was a cool whistle. I don't know where these birds are. It's like I hear them. What if? Never mind. I'm not even gonna go into a conspiracy theory. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, it's crazy. So to wrap my head around eternity is just gonna keep going in circles. Oh, okay. But also it's very comforting to know that it's cool because it says that we'll be like the angels in heaven. We'll have like different bodies. We won't even be thinking about this life. We won't even be thinking about the troubles that we had here. It's just going to be peace all the time, which is really crazy to think about because I can't even think about my mind can't fathom like not having to go through something, not having to go through a trial, or not having to, oh, I need to overcome this or do this or heal from this or make this decision or, take care of this responsibility. And like it's ongoing, it's never ending here. And and some, and always eternity is never ending, but it's just like a different type of never ending. And yeah. Um but yeah, so where was I? We're gonna continue. This is religious leaders question Jesus about the greatest commandment. It says one of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noticing that Jesus had given them a good answer, he asked him, of all the commandments, which is the most important? The most important one, answered Jesus, is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no greater commandment than these. Well said, teacher, the man replied. You are right in saying that God is one, and there is no other but him. To love him with all your heart, with all your understanding, with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself is more important than all the burnt offerings and sacrifices. Then when Jesus saw that he had answered wisely, I was like, yeah, that sounds like a person that is actually, um, you know, coming with a genuine heart, like not trying to trip him up, and maybe that was his intentions, but I don't know. In the beginning, it just says one of the teachers of the law came, heard them debating, noticing that Jesus had given a good answer. He asked him. So maybe he really came to just genuinely learn him and genuinely ask him a question. And his heart, like his answer seems like that. It says, when Jesus saw that he had answered wisely, he said to him, you are not far from the kingdom of God. And from then on, no one dared ask him any more questions. I love that. I love, love God with all your heart. Hold on. Okay. I had to sneeze. Now my eyes are watering. Love God with all your heart, all your soul, with all your might, with all your strength. And I don't know, this is something that I always have to check myself on, because yes, I love God, and definitely I've been growing into more appreciation for him and more love for him. But do I act like I always love God? No, I don't. And I do things that are displeasing to him. I don't always come from, because if I made my decisions based off of a love for God, and when you love someone, you don't want to hurt someone. When you love someone, you don't want to you don't want to disappoint them. You want to make them proud at all times. That is a pretty bird. You want to make them proud. You want to please them. You want to do what is right in their eyes, right? And if I made all of my decisions based off of my love for God, wanting to please him because I love him, wanting to make the right decisions because I love him, wanting to do the right things, or not say a certain thing, or to say a certain thing, or to not do a certain thing, or to do a certain thing, I'd probably, make a lot better decisions in my life. Not that I mean, not that I've made, you know, whatever. I've not that I've made like such terrible decisions, but like, I've done things in my life just like everybody else that, God has not been happy with, or God was not happy with, you know, or just didn't bring God glory, Um, so it just is a reminder to really like operate um out of that, operate out of your love for God, putting others before yourself, um, doing things because you love the Lord and because you love others, not because you're trying to glorify yourself, or you want, the attention on you, you want the glory, you want the praise, or, it'll make you look better, or for self gratification. Um, but those are the two things that you know, I say a lot, where it's like, I try to remind myself a lot, where it's, nothing else matters besides loving God and loving others. These things that the world and society makes to be so important, it's not that important. Um, so yeah, the two greatest commandments. This is verse 35. This is religious leaders cannot answer Jesus's question. While Jesus was teaching in the temple courts, he asked, "Why did the teachers of the law, say that the Messiah is the son of David?" David himself, by okay, speaking by the Holy Spirit, declared, "The Lord, where am I? The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet." David himself calls him Lord. How then can he be his son? The large crowd listened to him with delight. Verse 38. As he taught Jesus, "Watch out for the teachers of the law. They will walk around in flowing robes and be greeted with respect in the marketplaces, and have the most important seats in the synagogues and places of honor and at banquets." Sorry, I have to sniff. They devour widows' houses, and for a show make make lengthy prayers. These men will be punished most severely. Watch out for the teachers of the law. They like to walk around in flowing robes and be greeted with respect in the marketplaces, and have the most important seats in the synagogues and places of high honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses and for a show make lengthy prayers. These men will be punished most severely. I had to read that again. I just had to. Sometimes you gotta do a double take. Ugh. Okay, hold on. Where am I? Let's see. I'm gonna go back up to. It says this is for verse 35 through 37. Jesus quoted Psalm 110, verse 1, to show that David considered the Messiah to be his Lord, not just his descendant. The religious leaders did not understand that the Messiah would be far more than a human descendant of David. He would be God himself in human form. Stop. I'm distracted by these little Yorkies. They're so funny. Okay. Anyways, so where am I? 38 through 40. Jesus warned against trying to make a good impression just for personal gain. These teachers of the law were religious hypocrites who had no love for God. True followers of Christ are not distinguished by showy spirituality, reading the Bible, praying in public, following church rituals, and even doing church work can be phony if the motive for doing them is to be noticed or honored. Let your actions be consistent with your beliefs. Live with Jesus as your example, even when no one is looking. That is something that I have been working on. The thing is that you have to do what is right when no one is looking. Obviously, it's like no brainer, but do we always do what is right when no one's looking? Do we always live our lives with integrity? Are we tempted? Do we give in to different temptations? And I'm not just talking about like the big things. I'm talking about small things too. Like even when it comes to like picking up trash like outside, or if you're at a store and you see something on the ground that's not supposed to be there, should be on the shelf, but somebody knocked it over and didn't pick it up, you know, like, and just picking it up and putting it, like, just doing like the simple and small acts. They seem simple and they seem small, but you know, are we doing what is always right? Of course, we're gonna make mistakes. We're human beings, but you know, even when no one is looking, you know, or are we doing these things because people are looking, or because we're like, oh my gosh, if people see us doing this, you know, or if people, hold on, like, if people see us walk over that trash, they'll say something, so let me just pick it up so people don't say anything. Or, you know, is our mind like, oh, there's trash on the ground, let me pick it up, so people will say something and they'll look at me as like, oh my gosh, like, what a good person they are. They even pick up trash off the ground, you know, that doesn't belong there. Or they, you know, pick up stuff, you know, off the grocery, you know, for, you know, they're helping the people that work at the grocery store. You know what I mean? But are you doing that even when no one's watching? Because what is that verse? I forget where it is, but you know, where it says the Heavenly Father is always watching. But there's another verse that says, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? When you pray, don't like mumble on. Oh my gosh, I wish I had my, because I want to like read it word for word. I wish I had my other Bible here. I wish I could look it up. I mean, but don't mumble on like the teachers of religious law or the Pharisees do, you know, to bring glory to themselves. But it goes on. Oh my gosh, I wish I had my other Bible, or I wish I could look it up. But yeah, again, the huge theme that I'm seeing here in the book of Mark is about the heart. And I absolutely love that, because it's such a constant reminder, such a good reminder to remind us, like, because it's easy to overlook these things, you know, even when it's a small thing. Things pop into our mind all the time. We are constantly being tempted with different ways, swayed in different directions, trying to be pulled in different directions, you know. But it's so important to remind ourselves, like, what is the motive? Why are we doing this? Are we doing this to glorify ourselves? Are we doing this to puff ourselves up, to make ourselves look good? Are we doing this to please the Lord or please our, you know what I mean? Like, why are we doing this? It's such a great, I know it's like, it's a repeated reminder, but like, we need to be repeatedly reminded of these things. And also to look out for other people that are doing this, to not follow their teachings, to not follow, their ways of life, and to give in to what they're doing, and to not allow that to be our example of how we live our lives, because it happens you know in today's day, where we see different pastors and different people in high positions that seem like they're doing a good thing. They might be giving to the poor, they might be, helping out these people, but why are they doing it? Just because they're doing something good doesn't make them a good person. Um, doesn't mean that they're doing it from a good place. I mean, thank you for doing something good and helping out others, but you know it doesn't really matter to God whether you're doing something that's kind or not, or good or not. Um, if the heart is in the right place, it's nothing. You know what I mean? Because God judges by the heart and the motive of your action. And the last thing that we're going to go over is a poor widow gives all she has. This is verse 41. And it says, Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put, and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a poor widow came and put in very her what nope but a poor widow came and put in two very small copper coins, worth only a few cents. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. Wow. I'm gonna read what it says in the insight. Let me see, what verses are they? This is on verse 41 through 44. This widow gave all she had to live on, in contrast to, it's so easy to give, right? It's so easy to give when you have something to give, when you have something to offer. It's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll give. When you're making, good money at a job, I'll give a tenth of my check to the poor. I'll give a tenth of my check to the church. Who cares, right? I have more money left over. I can survive if I give 10%, you know. Um, but when you don't have that, and money is tight, and you're living paycheck to paycheck, and when you do give a 10% of your check, and that could be a hefty amount of your check or your income or whatever you have, um, how's it looking for you? You know what I mean? And I'm not just talking to others, I'm talking to myself too. It's not as easy when when you're not giving from abundance, when you're not giving from your wealth. Um, in contrast to the way most people handle their money, when we consider giving a certain percentage of our income a great accomplishment, we resemble those who gave out of their wealth. Here, Jesus was admiring generous and sacrificial giving. As believers, we should consider increasing our giving, whether money, time, talents, to a point beyond convenience or calculation. The value of gift should be determined not by the amount, but by the spirit in which it is given. A gift given grudgingly, or for recognition loses its value in the eyes of God. Yep, I love that. When you give, take heart. Small gifts are more pleasing to God. I just spit everywhere. Than large gifts when they are given out of gratitude. I absolutely love that. And this is the last little insight. I'll just read this because it's the last one for this chapter. It says, the temple had several boxes scattered across the grounds where money could be placed. Some were for collecting the temple tax, for Jewish men. The others were for free will offerings. This collection box was probably located in the court of the women. But yeah, some amazing stuff in this chapter. So we only have 3 chapters left. We're almost, oh wait, whoa, 14's, let's see how long 14 is. 14's a long chapter, baby. I don't mind long chapters. I may have to split this up into 2, I'm not sure. 14 is a very long chapter. Because I don't like to rush through it. I know these videos are long, but I like to get into it. But, yeah, so a lot of great stuff, you know, a lot of reminding us to work on our heart. And I hope that this encourages others to, and it convicts others. Conviction's not a bad thing. Conviction's not a scary thing. It is an amazing thing that helps us learn. And it shouldn't come from a place of, you know, shame, or God is shaming you because you're not perfect. You know, it's just kind of pointing out the areas of like what you need to work on. Because we all have those areas that we have to work on. We all have those weak points in our lives, and that's why we need a savior, because, you know, we're weak beings. We are beings that always need help, no matter, I don't want to say we're weak beings, but when I compare myself to God, 100%, I am a very, very weak individual. But through Christ, you know, I am able to be made strong. But we're human. We are human beings that have human minds and that have limited thinking. Yes, we are able to, like, you know, think of certain things and invent certain things and do certain things, but we still have very limited power, very limited authority, very limited mindset and ways of thinking. And yeah, I don't even know where I was going with all that. My brain has left the chat. Literally, it's gone. That thought is gone. I don't even know what the heck I was saying. But yeah, anyways, I think I was just saying it's a great reminder. These are all great reminders of like your heart, where your heart is, your motive of giving, and also, you know, it's easy to give out of abundance. It's easy to give out of, yes, you right now you have a stable job, you have stable income, you're able to give that amount because you have that amount and you have more than that amount. But then what happens when something happens with your job, or something happens with your health, or whatever, and you're not able to give, you know, it's a lot harder to do that in that situation. And this woman, she gave what she could have, even though it was a small amount. She gave what she gave what she had. And yeah, just to know that that means so much more to Jesus than when you give out of your abundance, you know? So yeah, anyways, that's all. And the next one, we're going to be on chapter 13 of Mark. And until next time, adios.